the same frequency, well, about the same frequency, the same level of megahertz. They're capped at 1 megahertz apiece per radio transponder. The reason for that is they don't want, that way the signal is too weak to interfere with any kind of municipal services and stuff like that. So they have to stay at that frequency. If you put the radio and the meter costs together with installation, you'll see the total costs are pretty far apart. Aetna is $190,248 for total bid. That's everything installed, all the training done for the staff, all that kind of stuff. Michigan Meter came in significantly lower at $148,681. Almost a just over $40,000 difference. So, as I said, I just want to walk through this. So the methods and findings, we're going to see an extra 14.5 to 18.5 hours of monthly staff productivity. That evens out to 1.75 to 2.35 working days. So we're actually going to get more days of labor out of the staff with the investment. An average of 3 staff members' hourly wages was used to compute that. And then this is going to give us almost 94% cost efficiency on meter reading. It's going to increase our efficiency by nearly 100%. And then, as I said, so annually we're going to save anywhere from $3,300 to about $4,100, which is significant. Obviously, it's a big upfront cost, so we want to walk through this a little bit too. These systems, any kind of large capital asset installation that we do, we want to look at it over the life of the asset. I've talked to several DPW directors on what we call our listserv, so it's a system wherein I can speak to other public officials and ask advice and things like that. And I had the guy, you'll notice, I think it's Decatur, that there's a recommendation letter for Michigan Meter. I spoke to his DPW director, and he said he thinks these meters for Michigan Meter will last 30 years. I had another guy in Grayling tell me the iPearls, he's like, I think they'll last 20, 30 years easy. So. And that's just because they haven't had very significant issues. They're both very high quality products. I mean, we're not going to go wrong either way when it comes to quality. So if we think about that, if we say an average total system life of 20 years, we need to compound the wages because obviously we have wage ranges, we get annual performance reviews, wages are going to go up, costs are going to go up. So if you compound that an average of 2% a year, which is just right around cost of living increases, you get a compounded average wage for that 20 years of $22.91. So our compounded savings per month is even higher, and it's around $340. And this is just labor, so it's going to be the same number for both companies. It's going to be anywhere from $340 up to close to $440 per month, and it's going to give us over the 20-year life of the system in labor savings alone. Anywhere from $82,000 to $105,000 in savings, which is about 2/3 of the investment. So, does anybody have any questions so far?
So the labor savings I was looking at last night, with the meters saving time, the people who are employed, would you be looking at scaling back hours or just doing other tasks with their time?
That's a good question. Yep, so what we really want to do is we want to fill their hands with other work. So I think the guys can tell you, there's several periods a year where they're just swamped with our current staffing model. There's times where we have to consider bringing on part-timers, and then we have to consider, are we going to be able to make the cut? Are we going to have to sacrifice some services and put them off till spring? We have these conversations fairly often. I can tell you and I think the guys would agree, 1.75 to 2.35 extra working days would be pretty valuable every month. And it's going to provide them a lot of saved time, which I think will allow them to get to a lot of other stuff. And a lot of it comes down to higher end services, so secondary services. Obviously, their main scope of work is to take care of our water sewer system, our streets, that kind of thing. Make sure all of our landscaping and stuff is correct. But really, it's going to allow us to make sure that we are pursuing the kind of standards that a high quality community really pursues. So if you go down the streets of a community whose DPW is really stretched for time and hours, you're going to see they're starting to cut corners. It's not their fault, it's that they just don't have the man hours to do it. And then if you go down to communities that have well-funded, well-staffed DPWs, you can really see the difference. I mean, all the weed whippings caught up, there's not garbage in the streets like you see. So that's really what we'll be focusing on. I see those extra, 1 3/4 to 2.5 days really be devoting to those secondary services. So I think it'll be a valuable savings, that's for sure. So Is that fair?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just, like, I was just looking at that thinking, like, I didn't wanna take, you know, like, jobs away from our people.
Okay, yeah,
If you were like cutting hours
Positions,
to do,
yeah.
like, replace it with technology, you know, like, I didn't want people to be losing their.
yep, and I mean, well, this is really designed to increase their productivity, but, you know, keep them right where they're at, the full-timers that we've got. So yeah, no, this wouldn't result in any wage, or staff reductions. Quite the opposite, they're gonna have more work to do because they have more time. So yeah, so if we look at the compounded savings, as I said, on the high end, we're looking at $105,000 nearly in the 20-year life of the system, which is roughly 2/3 of the low